Hey y'all, how you perking? I hope you're perking good. So, this is an important video to film. Probably quite overdue to film this on my channel here. But these things need to be said. And before people think, oh, I don't need to hear this, or they run off, click away, I can watch later, and then they don't come back or whatever, before people get into any of that kind of stuff, if you watch channels like this, if you are into psychic predictions, psychic channeling, tarot cards, any kind of divination tools, like, being into runes or the I Ching or oracle cards or pendulums or Ouija boards or any kind of divination tools like that. If you are into the spiritual realm like this in any way, even if you're like, hey, I don't do those things, I'm just interested in those topics. I'm interested in watching other people on YouTube do those things, but I don't do those things myself. Regardless of if you do those things yourself or if you don't, this is a must-see video because this is a must-talk-about topic. Very important discussion that I feel like is probably not had very much on YouTube. And I worry that the lack of having this conversation is a safety versus danger zone type of thing. Again, even if all you do is you're just interested in this stuff and just watch this stuff for entertainment on YouTube, this is still stuff that I really think you need to know and stuff that you probably need to do and incorporate into your life some way. And I feel like we need to talk about that today. So, before we get into it, just in case you're new here, although you're probably not, you've probably been on the channel for a while, but in case you're new here, I am a licensed mental health clinician as well as a spiritual intuitive, and we usually take a look at the tea with the tarot. Also, we do some channelings to channel spirit guides, angels, archangels, whatever light beings would like to come through. Today, we're going to talk about people who are interested in this stuff, what that means for you, most likely, and what you need to do because of it. Y'all only see me doing this stuff on video, and you don't know what happens before the videos. You don't know what happens after the videos. You don't know what happens in my life outside of what's happening on the videos. Anybody else that you watch that does this type of work, any kind of spiritual work, all you're seeing is what's on the videos. The videos are the entertainment part. That's what YouTube is. People want to come to YouTube and be entertained some type of way. Sometimes they're happy to learn something. Sometimes they just want to be entertained, whatever. But then that means they're only seeing that one side of it and they're not seeing the other sides of it. And that could be a problem for them. So let me explain. If you are here watching this channel, watching any channels remotely like this, you have an interest in the beyond, the paranormal, the supernatural, the spiritual, whatever you want to name it, you have an interest in that. A lot of times, not always, but often, people who have interests like these are usually more sensitive, more, how can we put this, have more abilities than other people around them. You might find that you are more intuitive than other people around you. You might find that you feel like you have a better spidey sense about you than other people around you. You might find that you have gut feelings more than other people around you. You might find that you have dreams that come true sometimes, or that your instincts are more right ahead, like in advance, on things that you shouldn't have known than other people seem to be around you. You might find that when you get really angry or really high strung and like angsty, that electrical stuff screws up around you. Light bulbs blow, remote controls stop working, phones decide to suddenly reboot and restart themselves, computers glitch up. You might find that you tend to have more emotional issues than people around you. You might feel that you tend to walk in a room and suddenly your feelings change, your emotions change, your thoughts change just by walking into that room. You might find all kinds of different things. Any of these things could be describing you, and there could be tons of other things that I could name that could be describing you. And people who watch this type of content and are really interested in this type of content tend to find themselves somewhere in all of that I just named. You're probably like, yeah, at least one of those boxes is me. And you more than likely are like, shit, I could check off several of those boxes. Like, you know, that list may as well have been my resume. Like, okay, I know. I see you. I know. And because of that, if you are that, then in the spiritual world, so to speak, you are a light, which means you are like a bug zapper that is attracting a lot of bugs. And if you do not know how to deal with those bugs and clean and clear those bugs, they're going to get stuck on your light and nothing's going to have a way to clean it off, and they're just going to compile on there and you're going to get congested with all the bugs. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, some of you might already be in a space like that and not even realize it and not even know what to do about it. These kinds of things can cause people to have extra stress than they would normally have. It can cause people to feel like, am I going crazy? I think I'm starting to go crazy. Like, come on, I must be crazy. Like, you might have thoughts and feelings like that. And it can cause people to not be able to sleep at night, or to only have vivid bad nightmares every night when they do try to sleep. It can cause people to feel like they're more anxious or more depressed than they usually would be or should be. And all of these things, you know, I'm a licensed mental health clinician, so all of these things, I'm not talking about, you know, people who have actual mental health challenges, mental health disorders, or things like that. If you have those things, please do visit your doctor, your psychiatrist, a counselor, somebody that can work with you on those things. I'm not trying to confuse mental health challenges and disorders with things that you might feel as a result of spiritual phenomenon. I'm not trying to confuse the two, okay? Be very clear about that. Just letting you know. And if at any time you ever have thoughts of harming yourself or harming anyone else, please, by all means, seek appropriate professional help immediately about that, okay? I'm not confusing these two things, and I hope that you're very clear on that. But as it relates to the spiritual stuff, if you know that's not you, that's not usually you, this stuff is different, this stuff is extra, this stuff is something else, and you're not sure what to do or where to go about this, then I'm going to try my best to help you out here in this video, okay? Folks like us have to do extra stuff, okay? Because we are more sensitive than other people, we can pick up on more things than other people, so we are going to be affected by more things than other people. And because we have our bug zapper light on, those of you who've had private readings with me, you might you might already remember some of this terminology if I've had to talk to you about this, because some of y'all out there had some abilities and didn't realize it, and I've had to give you this spiel off camera in our own private session, which, you know, any of you, if you need a private session on this, you know, you can book a private session and we can talk, okay, if you need one-on-one on this. If you were a lost soul that had maybe, let's pretend, passed suddenly and, you know, was confused and disoriented and didn't know how to, you know, go to the light or, you know, cross over fully, and you were scared and wanting somebody to help, if you noticed that there was somebody that could probably sense your presence and probably feel that you're around, wouldn't you just be going up to that person and be like, hey, come on, hey, trying to get your attention? Like, yeah, you'd be doing that too. You'd be like, please hear me. I think you can hear me. Can't you? I feel like you can. You would be doing that. And so if you are into this stuff and you feel like you can check a lot of those symptoms, well, I guess we'll call it, off of the list, then you are probably someone that entities on the other side of the veil are attracted to, and they're coming to you. And there's also plenty of things energetically that have happened on this planet that residually are left on the earth, on your property. There may have been people who lived in your house or your apartment or your condo or wherever before you, and their gunk is still there. And there's all of these things that you got to figure out how to cleanse and clear and get rid of them. And the biggest issue that I see about that is these days on YouTube, on TikTok, on wherever, I see so many people talking about, you know, white sage and palo santo and stuff, which is great, but then they stop the discussion there. And for people like you, the folks that feel like they have their hand up and are identifying here, for people like you, that may not be enough. And we don't talk about that, or at least not enough, in my opinion. Yes, our first two kind of lines of defense can be white sage and palo santo. White sage and palo santo are very neutralizing when you light them on fire, waft away the flame, the smoke of it that spreads throughout the room. It's a very neutralizing energy, which is good. It helps to put up boundaries. It helps to neutralize the space. It helps to cleanse and clear in that spiritual manner. Those are great, but they're just a starting point. And so we're going to get to those other ones in a second. But about these, if you get Palo Santo or white sage, then please try to find a place that sources them sustainably, rather than just getting them from anywhere. And specifically with white sage, this to Native Americans is considered medicine, like it's spiritual medicine. And so this is especially sacred to Native populations and needs to be treated as such. There's over-harvesting of white sage, and there are people that'll buy a sage stick, like a full stick of sage. It's about the size of a damn stapler, and they'll just light the end of it and just be fanning it like that around the house. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. That is wasteful, because it burns a lot very quickly in a way that's unnecessary. And it doesn't help with sustainability, okay? Because we're trying to sustainably source. So if you're going to buy white sage, please try, if possible, to buy white sage from people who will either provide the proceeds to natives in the area, or people who are selling it and the sellers are natives themselves, to support the tribes. When you buy it, if it is in stick form, break it up into these tiny little pieces here, and you only need like little pieces at a time. Like I can take this little piece and I can get the smoke off of this little piece and waft it around the space and around myself and around the house. And if that runs out, I can pick up another little piece. And that way you're not using as much. And so it's not contributing to over harvesting. So if you're going to be using native medicine, please know what you're doing with it, know how to handle it, know where to buy it, so that you can have some reverence about it, be sacred about it, because it is sacred medicine. Very good for, like I said, neutralizing. So you can use the smoke of that around the entire house. You can use it on yourself and all of the beings living in your house, like you, your loved ones, your pets, whatever. Just being careful. Again, you don't want to put so much smoke out into the air that you're making people cough, or challenging people who have asthma or things like that. Please just have common sense around it, okay? Safety in terms of smoke safety, safety in terms of fire safety. Please don't make me reiterate that on here. Okay, so these things are good. These things have their own place and time to be used, but these things are often not enough for people like us. Okay. So to ante up, to go a step beyond, salt. Literally, this right here is just Himalayan pink salt. I'm not talking about getting some fancy whatever special specific bag of salt, but salt is often very necessary. So if the palo santo and the white sage was for neutralization, then the salt over here is clearing the deceased that are ready to go. And so the people that are wanting help, they're wanting to be free, they're wanting release, they're wanting to go into the light, they're wanting to cross over fully, and they're around, they're not digging in their heels causing super issues or whatever, but they are in your space and they are wanting help. Salt is going to help them. Salt is going to help clear them. And that's important for you, because some of the, again, quote unquote, symptoms that I was talking about earlier can happen if you have too much dead around. So being, I guess, subjected to, I suppose we'll say, the dead, like every single day, all day, being bombarded with their energy all the time, you might start to notice things like heart flutters or palpitations. You might notice that you feel nausea sometimes where you shouldn't feel nauseated. You might notice that you just can't get to sleep or stay asleep for the life of you. You might notice that you get a lot of headaches, or that you feel so drained and fatigued all the time. And again, I am aware that the things that I'm saying has a lot of overlap with literal physical issues. So at all times, please never assume that what's going on, it must be spiritual, let me do the spiritual thing first. I'm reiterating from earlier, you first go seek appropriate professional help. You first go see a doctor, rule it out. If you go to a doctor with all these kinds of things going on and they're doing, tests and stuff on you, and they're like, no, you're good, everything's fine, everything looks great here, you shouldn't be feeling those things, I don't know why you're feeling those things. This may be why. The spiritual stuff may be why. So if you've ruled out these other physical or mental, emotional challenges, disorders, etc., from the appropriate professionals, and you're still experiencing these symptoms, this could be why. So that is why I'm trying to help you here. I know it's going to be a long-winded video today, but for those of y'all that are willing to just hear it all out and stick it through, it'll be worth your while when you do these things and you feel better. And if other people are like, fuck, this noise is too much or whatever, they're missing out on feeling better. That's on them. Everybody's allowed to make their own choice. The salt. With the salt, clearing out the dead so you don't start having some of those symptoms when a otherwise healthy person shouldn't be having those symptoms. What you are going to want to do with the salt, you're going to take a big handful of the salt and you are going to go put the salt in like a little pinch of salt in every corner of your living space, every corner of your home. I'm talking closets too, okay? Put it in every corner of your home. And then with the last bit of remaining salt that you have on your hands, go out into your front door, open your front door, throw the salt out your front door, and ask at that time that everyone be released with the salt. It's like, here I am, throwing the salt out the door. You are released to go where you belong, where you came from, where you need to go into the light or to go into the universe for your energy to be positively transmuted. And this is your release. You are released. And you do that out the front door. That's a layer above neutralizing energy. So if you want to neutralize energy, that's very good. That is where you should start, is neutralizing the energy with these types of things. That is where you should start. But you're going to want to go a step further and do the big guns. And you will most likely notice a world of difference of how things feel in your home when you do that. And the last big gun that I want to talk about here is one that has a bit of a caveat to it. It's one that we have to be kind of careful about. There is this stuff called tar water. Tar water is very potent stuff. Basically, what it is swamp water usually swamp water from the Louisiana Bayou down there in New Orleans. Most classically, it's from there, mixed with pine tar from pine trees. And a lot of times Spanish moss is included in the mixture. And usually it is prepared by either a witch or by a voodoo priestess or priest. I work with light beings. You all know that. I do not do anything dark. I do not consider myself a witch. I do not practice those things. I'm not hating on people who do. I just don't. You know that whenever I'm doing my tarot cards, I'm asking for my angels, archangels, light beings, spirit guides, higher self, and spirit of Gaia and God force energy. And so those are the entities that I deal with. But with tar water, that's who it's prepared by. To make sure that you're finding this from a valid practitioner, that you're not just buying some BS online or whatever that you just decided, oh, this looks cheap, or oh, this looks accessible, or whatever. Try to find a real practitioner to buy your tar water if you're going to use it. Like I said, there are caveats. The caveats are, 1, it is a very powerful substance that can be used for bad. So if you are going to be the wrong hands to be working with it, or there's going to be people around you that are the wrong hands to be working with it, then maybe you don't want to go that step, okay? So that's one thing. The second thing is, the power of this is such that 1 drop in every room that you have in your house has the ability to get rid of all deceased and quite a lot of negativity, that even negativity that's just energy, negative energy, even negativity that is like in the form of hexes or curses or crossings, and even negativity that can be in certain types of entities that never were alive as a human. It can dispel those types of things with just one drop in every room, and it can dispel them forever. So that sounds awesome, right? Like, I can get rid of that stuff in my house forever. Wow. So y'all are hearing, that's a big gun now. You know, that's the big one right there. That's the big one. A huge caveat to this is that if you are a sensitive that has any sort of mediumship abilities, even if you are not aware, you may not realize that you have mediumship abilities. And when I say medium, psychic mediums, intuitive mediums, physical or mental mediums, people who have some sort of ability to interact with the deceased, speak to them, whatever, even if they don't visually see them or audibly hear them. If you have those abilities, whether you realize you do or you don't realize you do, that can create an extra step for you. Here's a personal example. Let me share a personal example, okay? Once upon a time, little old B decided, hey, I've done the neutralizing. I've done the big gun here, and everything felt great in the house. Wonderful. And then, after a week, it felt a little less great. And after another week, it felt even more less great. And after another week, it started kind of being like, is it going to revert back to how it was feeling before? And another week goes by, and you do that, right? And things start to feel back the way they were, because cleansing is not something you do one time. Do you clean your house just one time with a vacuum cleaner, or with Windex on your windows, or washing the dishes or doing the laundry? Do you only do that one time? I should hope not. I should hope that you intend to do that more often in your home if you're able. And so with spiritual cleansing, it's the same way. There is some frequency that you need to do this stuff. But there was a little old bee Lucile, who thought, you know what? Let me do the tar water. Then it'll be permanent forever, which sounds awesome. They won't be able to be in my space forever. And so I did that. I did the house and I did the property. And sure enough, everything was gone out of the house and everything was gone off of the property. And that was great. And that was back when little old B had no idea that she had mediumship abilities. She thought she just did, psychic tarot readings and stuff like that, and predictions and things. She didn't realize she had the medium abilities. And so she did that. It was great for day 1. Day 2 went by, also great. Day 3 went by, also great. Day 4 went by, not feeling so good. Feeling too stressed out to have an appetite, too anxious to be able to eat. That's not good. Day 5 went by. Now all my stress and anxiety not being able to eat has magnified, because now the OCD that I'm literally diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, it's getting worse and way more out of control. And things are becoming so bad that I'm not able to sleep or work. Day 6, 7, whatever starts coming around, and the OCD and mental health issues that I've got start getting so bad, I'm not able to eat, I'm not able to sleep, I'm not able to break my OCD loops and get out of them. I feel so bad and so scared that I start feeling like, that's it. I'm having a total breakdown. And then it hit me. If you happen to have mediumship abilities and you are not in some way allowing yourself to be accessible to the dead, even with boundaries, in some way you're not allowing yourself to be accessible, they will slam you. They will slam you. And so what I found out through that experience, long story short, I basically found a way to pull in, try to my best abilities, get into a meditative state and ask, my light beings, what do I do? How do I get out of this? And I went to the backyard and noticed the fence line, and I saw a cat jump on the fence line, a black cat, usually harbingers of the spirit world, jumping on the fence, but not into my yard, and staring at me. And it felt like there were thousands of people at the fence with their hands on it, screaming and yelling, like, help me, release me, like screaming around the fence line is what it felt like in my mind's eye, in my head, in my spirit, whatever. And I was like, oh my God, do I have mediumship abilities? I don't know. And this is kind of how I found out. I was like, okay, let me do this. And I put myself into my opening state. I have a way that I do an opening, and I, called in my light team for protection and assistance. And I did what I know mediums would do to say and assist in people's release and their ability to cross over into the light and go where they need to go, and to not be scared to do so, and to let go, and all of the stuff. I did all the things, and then I did the protective closing, and everything stopped. Peaceful again. Immediately. Peaceful again. No more issues. No more issues. And I realized, okay, I did successfully get them out of my home and out of my property, but they were going to stand at the property line screaming or whatever it is they were doing that was making me feel the way I was feeling in my mind and body, louder and louder and louder, until I literally could not ignore it anymore and had to snap and deal with it. And once I dealt with it, it was great. And so since then, on a weekly basis, I have a boundary here where I say, okay, give me my space, my peace, my quiet, my ability to have my dreams to myself, and my sleep to myself, and my home to myself, and have that rest and have that space to myself as my boundary line. And then in return, once a week, I will go out and I will do that, what do you want to call it? Ritual, procedure? What do you want to call it? Again, to assist with anybody that wants me and needs me. I will help in the best way that I can, in the only ways that I know how, and I will assist. And that is the agreement. And my spirit team, my light being team, my light bodies know how to help me negotiate that boundary and that I draw, so that I know I'm going to get what I need out of this, peace and relaxation in my own space, and they know what they're going to get out of this, help every single week. And so we've got an agreement here. Don't fix it if it ain't broke, right? So if you decide you want to do the tar water route, and you are in any way a medium or have any mediumship abilities, please know that you will have to carve out space like that to do those things, because if you don't, you will be slammed. Okay? If you don't have mediumship abilities, then you're going to be like, wow, everything is out forever and it feels great. Like my husband, he was like, oh, this feels great. Everything's out. I feel different. It feels great. And then he never had a problem. He never went crazy. I did. So some of y'all aren't going to have to worry about it. Some of y'all will. And I just want to put that out there as a huge disclaimer, a huge caveat, so that folks who decide to go to that level will know, if you got abilities, you're going to have to still do your end of the bargain, because that's how it's got to be. So some people, you might just want to stop at the salt, and you might just say, you know what, just to make sure I don't risk it, I'll just do the salt, every other week, once a month, whatever. I'll do the salt thing in the house with some sort of frequency, and yeah, we won't worry about the tar water. And for y'all, okay. If you want to stop there, okay. I just want people to not stop here, because like I said, this is a matter of safety versus danger. If you have abilities, whether you realize or not, those may not be enough, and you may be getting these things happen to you that are affecting you in a bad way, emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. You might want to consider making these types of cleansings a part of your natural, usual process. To mention this last thing, for the people who will ask, because people do ask me this, they say, okay, well, if I do those cleansings and clearings, how do I make sure only the bad things leave and the good things don't? People like me, y'all know my daddy died in 2021. I don't want to kick daddy out of the house. I don't want to kick my grandma out of the house, people that are my loved ones who have passed and things like that. For people with that question, make sure that when you do your opening and closing, because all cleanings should come with an opening and a closing, that you invite them to be a part of your team. They are going to be part of the team that helps you do this. So let's say I'm about to do a whole house cleansing, and I say, okay, spirit team, please come forward. I would like my angels, archangels, spirit guides surrounding me now, light beings. I would like daddy, nanny, and all my well and healed ancestors, any beings of the light who are for my highest good of all and the highest good of all. I would like you to please come forward and assist me now in this co-created process of cleansing and clearing my home and property for the highest good of all. Please come forward and be a part of this work with me. Do not go with everyone else. And then you start the process. You start here at either white sage or palo santo or something of that nature, and then you ante up with the Himalayan salt or whatever kind of salt. It's not that specific on the type of salt. Honestly, salt is salt. So don't get too worried about that. And then if you want to go the last distance, then you would do this, and you would only need to do this one time and one time only in your home and property, because again, this is forever. These other things, you're going to want to do it with a frequency. So pick your frequency. You'll know what feels good to you. You'll know when it feels like the gunk starts coming back. I would say don't go any less frequent than once a month. Do it at least once a month. And then this one time if you want to go that route. And again, have your team there with you. And at the end of it all, do your closing, where you're calling forward the same team and you're thanking them, and you're closing, and any of the things that you feel like you need to say in closing to pull everything, tie all your loose ends. And so very, very important if you're interested in this work, if you're interested in these types of videos, if you're interested in the spiritual, the paranormal, the supernatural, etc., you are very likely a sensitive. You're very likely an intuitive, whether you realize it or not, whether you want to be or not. We don't get to choose this. You're born this way or you're not. And I feel like people talk about cleansing and clearing only for people who actually read cards or actually use spiritual tools. Like, hey, you need to cleanse and clear if you use spiritual tools. But they don't really talk about, hey, even if you don't do this stuff and you just are interested in the stuff and watch this stuff, you might be that. You still might be that person internally. And so you still might need this. And people don't seem to talk about that, I feel, or they don't talk about it enough. And so I wanted to share that with y'all today. I know this has been a very long video. I know that it's a lot, and I know that technically I could have gotten out all of these itty bitty pieces of information in a much shorter way. But to me, I feel like I needed to describe all the details and give examples, and all of that nitty gritty around it, because people are going to have questions. People aren't going to know what to do. I don't want to assume anybody just automatically knows what I'm talking about and automatically knows what to do, because I feel like that is a more thorough and responsible way to do this. So that's why this is so long, and I apologize for that. I just feel like there was not really a great way around that. So please do that regardless of if you do the work. And if you do the work, please do a proper opening before you do your work and a proper closing after you do your work, because you want to make sure you're not keeping a door open or antagonizing things around you with improper boundaries of opening and closing. And so again, if anybody has any questions about this where they want to do a one-on-one, they need to talk about it, you can schedule a session with me. You can book it under any of those things. If you want to book it under tarot reading, under Reiki Energy Healing, under tarot tutoring, you can book it under any of the things. And just, when you book it, just email me and be like, hey, I really want to talk one-on-one about this cleansing clearing stuff, or about my openings and closings, or about what to do with, mediumship or whatever, because I just feel like I need some beginner level help to kind of make sure I'm on the right track. You can book whatever and just send me an email and know, so that I can know how I'm going to be able to help you. I don't have a service like that on my website right now. This is just something that came up today in my mind of feeling like I needed to talk about this with y'all. And so hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully you all are going to take this to heart, take this seriously, and do this for yourselves. If you have friends, family, loved ones that you feel like need to be doing this, please refer them to this video so that they can see that and make sure that they're doing this for themselves. Trying to keep this world safer and healthier for those of us who are currently inhabiting it, and for those on the other side who want to be released, want help, badly feel like they need to be cleansed and cleared and released and freed and all this stuff. We're helping them too. So we're helping things that we can see and things that we can't see, by doing this type of stuff. So, anywho, y'all, I've rambled a long time. If you would like to book an actual reading for a tarot reading, everything is on my website, BeasTalksAndTarot.com. You can get that there. And I know that I'm doing this at the end of the video instead of the beginning of the video, but also Perk Squad members, if you would like to join the Perk Squad and be a member of the Perk Squad to get extra content, then you can do that with the blue join button below, or the link in the description box to join the Perk Squad. One of the perks to the Perk Squad is a shout out. So shout out to you, Froggy, and thank you for being a member of the Perk Squad. Shout out to you, Froggy, and thank you for being a member. And I will be coming at you with a regular, normal video soon. I just really felt like we needed to talk about this, clear the air, get this out of the way, because this is just vitally important. So, anywho, thank y'all for this. Thanks for sticking around. Anybody who has stuck around, let's see. If you are still here right now, then drop a emoji of the praying hands. Drop the praying hands emoji if you've made it to the end of this video. Then please drop the praying hands emoji. Or, there's some people that are like, I don't have access to emojis. I'm just going to type the word praying hands. You can do that too. All right. And that'll help me know that y'all actually watched it the whole way. So I'll know, hey, at least this many people got all of the information and took it all very seriously. And that can help me feel like, hey, if I helped that many, even if there may not be many, then I can feel like I did my duty. I tried my best and I did my duty to spread that out, the word that needed to be shared. And so thank you for that. And as usual, don't be a stranger. Come back and see me, and I will talk at you later. Bye, y'all.